Uncle Ron, Jay-Z's former bodyguard from back in 1997, just blew the lid off the biggest secret in Hollywood, revealing exactly who ordered the hit on Biggie Smalls. But the real horror story? Less than 24 hours after making that explosive announcement, Uncle Ron was suddenly pronounced dead. The industry wants you to believe it was just a tragic coincidence. They want you to look away. But now Gene Deal is stepping forward, putting his own life on the line to reveal the chilling truth of what Jay-Z and Beyoncé allegedly did to silence Uncle Ron forever. I know your deepest secrets. I know what you did to stay on top. Uncle Ron in his final haunting footage. What did Uncle Ron know that was worth a human life? How deep does this elite circle of protection truly go? We are diving headfirst into the leaked medical reports, the hidden financial trails, and the frantic backstage scramble that happened just hours before Uncle Ron went silent. If you think this is just another internet rumor, you are vastly underestimating the lengths billionaires will go to protect their empires. Get ready, because the clean, polished image of music royalty is about to shatter into a million pieces. Uncle Ron was not just any ordinary security guard. Back in 1997, during the absolute peak of the brutal East Coast and West Coast hip-hop wars, he was the man walking right beside Jay-Z. He saw the handshakes, he heard the whispered phone calls, and he witnessed the exact moments when the power dynamics of the music industry shifted overnight. For nearly 3 decades, Uncle Ron kept his mouth shut, living quietly and protecting his family from the dangerous shadows of the music elite. But when the federal walls started closing in on Sean Diddy Combs, Uncle Ron knew the clock was ticking, and he decided it was finally time to speak his truth to the world. He took to TikTok, completely unbothered by the consequences, and laid out a timeline that sent shockwaves straight to the top of the Roc Nation empire. Uncle Ron claimed with absolute certainty that Biggie Smalls' death was a calculated corporate execution disguised as a random drive-by shooting. He stated on camera that Diddy had openly offered him a staggering $30,000 to perform the hit on Biggie, because Biggie was planning to leave Bad Boy Records and take his entire multi-million-dollar music catalog with him. But Uncle Ron turned the offer down, leaving Diddy to find alternative methods to clear the path for his financial takeover of the rap world. The most terrifying part of Uncle Ron's revelation was not just about Diddy, but about who else stood to gain the absolute most from Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur being removed from the Billboard charts. Uncle Ron explicitly named Jay-Z as a secret co-conspirator who desperately needed Biggie out of the way, so he could claim the throne as the undisputed king of hip-hop. According to Uncle Ron, Jay-Z and Diddy formed a dark alliance of convenience, knowing that as long as Tupac and Biggie were alive, their own musical talents would always remain in the shadows. But within 24 hours of uploading these damning videos and promising to hand over physical evidence to the authorities, Uncle Ron was found dead. The official narrative was pushed out to the media almost instantly, claiming that he passed away from a sudden severe case of pneumonia. The internet immediately erupted in skepticism, pointing out that Uncle Ron looked completely healthy, vibrant, and wasn't even coughing in his videos just a day prior. You are telling me a man goes from exposing the biggest industry secrets on the planet to dropping dead from a respiratory illness in less than a single day? That is where Gene Deal, Diddy's iconic former bodyguard, comes into the picture to blow this case wide open. Gene Deal has been a thorn in the side of the industry elite for years, using his platform to confirm the shady dealings of his former boss. But recently, Gene Deal took to a live broadcast and dropped a bombshell that specifically targeted Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Gene Deal admitted that he has seen the receipts, and he claimed that Uncle Ron's death was a highly sophisticated silencing operation executed by the highest powers in Hollywood. Gene Deal revealed that the elite circle has a very specific, terrifying pattern when it comes to dealing with whistleblowers who threaten their billion-dollar brands. Whenever someone gets too close to the truth, they suddenly develop this mysterious, fast-acting pneumonia that completely shuts down their organs before they can ever make it to a courtroom. Look at the history of people who threatened to expose Diddy and his inner circle. Heavy D died suddenly, and the cause was linked to pulmonary issues. Kim Porter, the mother of Diddy's children who was allegedly writing a tell-all book about his darkest secrets, tragically passed away from lobar pneumonia right before she could publish it. Now, Uncle Ron joins that exact same list, and Gene Deal is telling the world that this is not a medical coincidence but a corporate signature. Gene Deal explained that the elite do not use messy street violence anymore. because it leaves too many forensic traces and attracts the attention of the FBI. Instead, they use highly advanced, undetectable methods to simulate natural illnesses, allowing them to eliminate threats while maintaining total plausible deniability. According to Gene, Beyoncé and Jay-Z were in an absolute state of panic when Uncle Ron threatened to release old-school footage and financial records proving their involvement. The panic stemmed from the fact that Uncle Ron claimed to possess a stash of old VHS tapes and digital hard drives from the late 90s that documented the secret meetings between Bad Boy and Rockefeller Records. These were not just business meetings about music distribution or clothing lines. These were strategy sessions detailing how to completely monopolize the urban music market by absorbing the catalogs of deceased artists. Uncle Ron had kept these files hidden in a secure location for over 25 years, waiting until his children were fully grown and independent before he risked his life to expose them. But the moment Uncle Ron mentioned those specific receipts on his Instagram and TikTok accounts, the digital surveillance matrix of the elite went into overdrive. Gene Deal claims that within hours of Uncle Ron's video going viral, a team of high-level fixers employed by Roc Nation was dispatched to locate the source of the leak. Suddenly, Uncle Ron's entire social media presence began to vanish in real time. His explosive videos were scrubbed from Instagram, his TikTok account was completely deactivated, and even the comment sections where fans were archiving his words were systematically wiped clean. This level of digital censorship does not happen because of a standard community guidelines violation. It requires an immense amount of corporate leverage and direct lines of communication with tech executives to delete a trending topic off the face of the earth within minutes. Jay-Z and Beyoncé possess that exact kind of global power, and their ability to rewrite the digital narrative in real time is exactly what Gene Deal is warning the public about. They didn't just want Uncle Ron gone, they wanted to erase the very memory of his accusations from the collective consciousness of the internet. Gene Deal also shed light on why Beyoncé was directly pulled into this narrative by Uncle Ron before his untimely passing. In his final videos, Uncle Ron addressed Beyoncé directly, telling her that he knew the true nature of her relationship with Jay-Z. He claimed that their marriage was initially constructed as a massive financial and branding merger, rather than a romance based on mutual love. He alleged that they used their combined power to systematically destroy the careers of anyone who dared to compete with them or speak out against their character, citing the infamous downfall of singer Carrie Hilson as just one example of their ruthless corporate tactics. When you look at the sheer scale of the allegations, it becomes blindingly obvious why the industry could not allow Uncle Ron to remain breathing. He was a walking repository of the darkest era in hip-hop history, a man who actually stood in the rooms where these life-altering decisions were made. He was an eyewitness to the greed that fueled the deaths of icons like Biggie and Tupac, and he was finally ready to hand that information over to the federal investigators who are currently building a massive racketeering case against the industry's top players. Gene Deal admitted that Uncle Ron had already been in contact with specific agents working on the ongoing Bi-Coastal Task Force. The federal authorities were highly interested in Uncle Ron's testimony because it provided the missing link connecting the old-school street violence of the 90s to the modern-day corporate empires that dominate Hollywood today. The investigators knew that if they could prove Jay-Z and Diddy actively conspired to profit off the deaths of their competitors, it would trigger a massive asset forfeiture that could completely dismantle their billion-dollar portfolios. The timing of Uncle Ron's sudden demise is the ultimate smoking gun that exposes the sheer desperation of the elite. He was scheduled to meet with legal representatives regarding the newly revived Tupac Shakur wrongful death lawsuit, just days after he was silenced. Tupac's family has been relentlessly pushing for justice, launching independent investigations into whether Diddy placed a $1 million bounty on Tupac's head. Uncle Ron was supposed to be the star witness who could finally corroborate the secret financial transactions that occurred behind closed doors during that exact period. With Uncle Ron now removed from the equation, the elite believe they have bought themselves more time to cover their tracks and manipulate the legal system. But they completely underestimated the anger and determination of Gene Deal, who refuses to let his former colleague's memory be dragged through the mud of corporate lies. Gene is warning the public that the narrative is being heavily controlled, and that if the world blindly accepts the pneumonia story, it will only embolden these billionaires to continue eliminating anyone who stands in their way. The dark reality of the entertainment industry is that the music we listen to is controlled by individuals who view human lives as mere numbers on a balance sheet. They will protect their status, their wealth, and their secrets at all costs, using a network of lawyers, fixers, and medical cover-ups to maintain their spotless public images. Uncle Ron thought he was safe because he waited 20 years, but the elite never forget, and they never stop watching the people who hold the keys to their destruction. As we transition into the deeper layers of this investigation, Gene Deal is preparing to unveil the specific financial anomalies that occurred right after Uncle Ron's death, proving that a massive amount of money was moved through offshore accounts to fund this elaborate cover-up. The paper trail left behind by these billionaires is starting to crack, and the secrets they buried in 1997 are finally clawing their way to the surface, ready to drag the entire empire down into the dirt. The offshore accounts that Gene Deal highlighted were not just random entities hidden in Caribbean tax havens. They were active corporate shells specifically linked to digital security firms and private intelligence networks that operate entirely off the grid. According to Gene, just 12 hours after Uncle Ron uploaded his final warning to the world, a massive wire transfer was initiated from a holding company tied directly to the entertainment elite. This financial movement was flagged by independent watchdogs who track high-level corporate anomalies, showing a direct correlation between the sudden deletion of Uncle Ron's digital footprint and the activation of these shadow funds. The elite didn't just rely on hiding money to fix their massive problem. They actively utilized a network of media fixers to flood the internet with distractions. Gene Deal explained that the sudden wave of random celebrity drama and calculated relationship rumors that dominated the headlines that exact week was entirely intentional. It is a classic public relations tactic designed to bury breaking investigative news under a mountain of superficial clickbait. While the general public was busy arguing over meaningless red carpet events, the digital evidence that Uncle Ron had spent months compiling was being systematically scrubbed from decentralized servers across the globe. But Uncle Ron was smarter than the billionaires gave him credit for, and he did not keep all his receipts in one place. Gene Deal revealed that before his sudden hospitalization, Uncle Ron had sent duplicates of his physical evidence to 3 separate individuals who are completely disconnected from the hip-hop industry. These individuals are independent journalists and deep web archivists who have no fear of Hollywood blacklisting or corporate intimidation. This means that despite the total wipe of his official Instagram and TikTok accounts, the actual raw footage, the bank routing numbers from 1997, and the unedited audio recordings still exist in encrypted vaults. The content of those specific audio recordings is what truly terrifies the inner circle of Rock Nation. Gene Deal hinted that the audio contains tapped phone conversations from the late 90s where top executives openly discussed the commercial valuation of an artist's death. In the dark economy of the music business, a deceased artist is often worth significantly more to a record label than a living one. A living artist demands royalties, creative control, and has the audacity to demand the rights to their master recordings. A dead artist, however, becomes a permanent corporate asset whose image and catalog can be exploited for generations without any pushback. When Biggie Smalls was tragically taken out in Los Angeles, his catalog immediately became the ultimate goldmine for bad boy entertainment. But Gene Deal points out that the financial ripple effect extended far beyond just Diddy's immediate circle. New distribution deals, licensing agreements, and streaming rights years later were all structured in a way that benefited a very small, tightly knit group of industry moguls, including Jay-Z. By consolidating the music catalogs of the 2 biggest icons of the era, these executives effectively established a total monopoly over the entire culture, dictating who became a star and who was left in the gutter for the next 3 decades. The psychological toll on anyone who tries to expose this monopoly is immense, and Gene Deal described how Uncle Ron lived in a constant state of hypervigilance during his final months. He wasn't just looking over his shoulder for random street thugs. He was constantly monitoring his digital devices for signs of Pegasus-style spyware. Uncle Ron had openly told close associates that his phone was acting strangely, dropping calls during crucial conversations and overheating when it was completely idle. These are the textbook signs of high-level state or corporate surveillance, used to track the movements of high-value targets before a neutralization operation. Gene Deal also addressed the public skepticism surrounding the physical state of Uncle Ron before he entered the hospital. In the snippets of video that fans managed to download before the mass deletion, Uncle Ron was seen speaking with a strong booming voice, completely free of any respiratory distress. He was clear-headed, sharp, and possessed the physical presence of a man who spent his life protecting the biggest names in the world. The narrative that a person of that physical stature could succumb to an advanced pulmonary infection within a 24-hour window without any prior symptoms is a medical anomaly that even independent doctors are calling highly suspicious. The conspiracy deepens when you examine the specific hospital where Uncle Ron was admitted under an assumed name. Gene Deal claimed that the medical facilities staff was placed under an immediate, strict non-disclosure agreement regarding the high-profile patient in room 412. No visitors were allowed, including his immediate family members who rushed to the scene after hearing rumors of his sudden collapse. Why would a standard case of pneumonia require military-grade security protocols and a total communications blackout if there wasn't something incredibly sinister being hidden from the public eye? While Uncle Ron was being silenced in the medical ward, another key witness in the overarching conspiracy was facing extreme danger inside a maximum security prison. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man currently fighting for his life in the legal system regarding the Tupac Shakur murder case, became the target of a violent, unprovoked prison assault. The mainstream media framed the incident as a simple case of jailhouse tension between rival inmates over mundane daily privileges. But Gene Deal connects the dots directly, stating that the attack on Keefe D happened just 48 hours after his legal team filed a motion that prominently featured Sean Diddy Combs' name in relation to the infamous $1 million bounty. The message being sent by the elite is loud, clear, and incredibly brutal. If you are on the outside like Uncle Ron, you will face a mysterious medical crisis that deletes you from the living world. If you are on the inside like Keefe D, surrounded by stone walls and iron bars, the system will find a way to unleash violence upon you to keep your mouth shut before you ever reach a witness stand. This dual-pronged strategy shows that the billionaires are not playing games. They are actively fighting for their survival, because they know the federal government is closer than ever to uncovering the truth. Gene Deal has repeatedly stated that 50 Cent's upcoming multi-part documentary series with Netflix is causing absolute pandemonium behind the scenes in Hollywood. 50 Cent has been completely relentless in his trolling and exposing of Diddy, but his legal and production teams have also been quietly digging into the broader network of corporate enablers who helped cover up the crimes of the 90s. Jay-Z and Beyoncé are fully aware that a massive platform like Netflix reaching hundreds of millions of households worldwide, with an investigative breakdown could completely destroy their carefully manicured brand equity. The brand of Jay-Z and Beyoncé is built entirely on the concept of untouchable royalty, clean black excellence, and high society elegance. They sit with billionaires, attend political galas, and curate an aura of pristine moral superiority. But Uncle Ron's raw, unfiltered street-level testimony threatened to tear down that entire facade, exposing the gritty, ruthless, and dangerous reality of how that massive wealth was initially accumulated. You cannot build a multi-billion-dollar empire in the music industry without stepping on a few bodies, and Uncle Ron was the man who kept the ledger of exactly whose bodies those were. Gene Deal also revealed that Beyoncé's legal team has been working around the clock to issue cease and desist orders to any independent YouTube content creators and TikTokers who even mention the connection between her name, Jay-Z, and Uncle Ron. They are attempting to use copyright strike systems and trademark laws as a weapon to completely choke out the independent media landscape. This aggressive legal retaliation only proves the old adage that where there is smoke, there is an absolute raging fire. If these accusations were truly nothing more than baseless internet fiction, a multi-billionaire couple would not waste millions of dollars in legal fees to suppress them. The public reaction to these unfolding events has reached a tipping point, with fans completely dividing themselves into opposing camps. The hardcore fan base of the music royalty refuses to believe that their idols could ever be involved in something so deeply demonic, dismissing Gene Deal as a bitter, washed-up industry veteran looking for internet relevance. But the broader hip-hop community, which remembers the pain of losing Tupac and Biggie at the young age of 24, is refusing to let this go. They are looking at the historical patterns, the sudden deaths, the corporate takeovers, and they are demanding real, unfiltered accountability. As the physical evidence begins to leak out through the independent channels that Uncle Ron set up prior to his death, the corporate empire is finding it increasingly difficult to keep the dam from breaking. The encrypted vaults are slowly being opened, and the first wave of leaked documents shows a terrifying connection between the offshore wire transfers and the actual medical administrators who handled Uncle Ron's final hours. The net is tightening, And as we move into the final phase of this explosive exposure, the ultimate breakdown of how the legal system is preparing to react to Gene Deal's admissions will shock the world to its very core. The leaked documents detailing the offshore wire transfers did not just raise eyebrows among internet sleuths. They caught the attention of federal prosecutors who have been quietly building a massive case under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. Gene Deal stated that these specific financial files show a clear line of communication between corporate entities representing the Hollywood elite and private healthcare consultants. The theory being pushed by independent researchers is that Uncle Ron was subjected to a highly sophisticated chemical compound designed to mimic the rapid onset of severe respiratory failure, leaving standard hospital staff completely oblivious to the foul play occurring right under their noses. This terrifying method of elimination is exactly why Gene Deal is urging other former industry insiders to come forward before it is too late. He explained that staying silent does not actually protect you from the reach of these billionaires, because they view anyone with historical knowledge as a ticking time bomb that could detonate their global brands at any moment. The only true protection in the digital age is absolute transparency, which means putting the information out to the public so quickly and widely that killing the source becomes completely redundant. Uncle Ron made the fatal mistake of teasing his evidence on social media 24 hours before releasing it, giving the corporate machine just enough time to coordinate their counterstrike. The legal system is now facing an unprecedented crisis, as the public demands a federal grand jury investigation into the string of mysterious pneumonia deaths that have plagued the hip-hop community for decades. Legal experts are pointing out that while it is incredibly difficult to prove a murder case based on simulated natural causes, the accompanying financial crimes, wire fraud, and digital manipulation are much easier to track and prosecute. The FBI has already begun subpoenaing the server logs of the major social media platforms to determine exactly who authorized the immediate and total deletion of Uncle Ron's accounts within hours of his final broadcast. If the federal investigators can prove that a major record label or entertainment mogul used their corporate leverage to suppress evidence related to an active criminal investigation, it would constitute an undeniable charge of obstruction of justice. This is the exact crack in the armor that Gene Deal and 50 Cent are looking to exploit. By forcing these billionaires into a federal courtroom to answer for their corporate actions, the legal system will inevitably open the floodgates for discovery, allowing attorneys to dig into 30 years of sealed tax returns, non-disclosure agreements, and secret settlement funds. The panic inside the Roc Nation headquarters is reportedly so intense that top-level executives have been holding emergency strategy sessions around the clock to damage control the situation. Gene Deal revealed that several high-profile artists who were previously fiercely loyal to Jay-Z and Beyoncé are quietly seeking legal counsel to distance themselves from the brand before the impending fallout. No one wants to be caught in the blast radius when a multi-billion-dollar empire comes crashing down, especially when the allegations involve the weaponization of the medical system to silence whistleblowers. While the corporate elite scramble to protect their assets, the family of Tupac Shakur is using this explosive momentum to push their wrongful death lawsuit into overdrive. Their legal team is actively trying to depose Gene Deal so that his admissions regarding Uncle Ron, Diddy, and the secret financial networks can be entered into the official court record. If Gene's testimony is accepted by the judge, it will provide the necessary legal leverage to force Diddy and potentially Jay-Z to sit for under oath depositions, where lying carries severe criminal penalties. The mainstream media's absolute silence on this developing story has only fueled the public's distrust of traditional news outlets. For days, the major television networks have completely ignored the sudden passing of Uncle Ron and the subsequent allegations made by Gene Deal, choosing instead to focus on superficial political theater and corporate-sponsored entertainment news. This blatant media blackout is proof of the immense advertising dollars and corporate relationships that the Hollywood elite hold over the corporate boardrooms of major news networks, ensuring that their dark secrets never make it to the nightly news. But the elite completely underestimated the power of decentralized independent media and the collective intelligence of the internet community. Millions of viewers across YouTube, TikTok, and alternative forums are actively piecing together the puzzle, sharing mirrored copies of Uncle Ron's deleted videos, and translating the complex financial data into easily digestible breakdowns. The narrative is no longer controlled by a handful of media executives sitting in New York or Los Angeles. The truth is being crowdsourced by a global audience that refuses to let another cover-up slide into the history books. Gene Deal concluded his historic broadcast by delivering a chilling message directly to Jay-Z and Beyoncé, stating that the days of hiding behind pristine public relations campaigns and charitable foundations are officially over. He warned them that the spirits of the people they stepped on to reach billionaire status are finally demanding justice, and that no amount of money or digital censorship can stop the truth from coming to light. The house of cards built on the sacrifices of icons like Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur is shaking at its very foundation, and the world is watching in absolute awe as the walls begin to crumble. The ultimate question that remains is whether the federal government will have the courage to fully prosecute these elite figures, or if the case will once again be swept under the rug due to political pressure and massive financial payouts. History has shown that billionaires often operate under a completely different set of rules than ordinary citizens, utilizing their immense resources to buy immunity and rewrite the legal narrative. But the scale of the current public awakening is unlike anything the industry has ever faced before, making it incredibly dangerous for the authorities to ignore the mountain of evidence being presented. As independent journalists continue to dig into the background of the medical administrators who handled Uncle Ron's final hours, new anonymous sources are starting to emerge from within the hospital itself. Low-level staff members, speaking under strict conditions of anonymity, are beginning to corroborate Gene Deal's claims, describing an atmosphere of intense paranoia, unusual security details, and frantic chart alterations during that fateful night. These emerging eyewitness accounts are providing the crucial human element needed to turn a compelling conspiracy theory into an undeniable criminal case. The digital footprints left behind by the fixers are also being analyzed by decentralized hacker collectives who have pledged to recover Uncle Ron's completely wiped hard drives and cloud backups. If these digital archivists succeed in breaching the encrypted servers where the evidence was supposedly destroyed, it will unleash a torrent of documentation that could trigger immediate arrest warrants for everyone involved. The race against time is on, with both sides utilizing the highest levels of technology and strategy to either expose or permanently bury the darkest secrets of the music industry. The legacy of hip-hop culture hangs in the balance as this massive battle plays out in the public eye. For decades, the genre has been used as a tool for corporate enrichment, with young black artists often treated as disposable commodities whose tragic endings are exploited for maximum profit by older executives. By exposing the true mechanisms behind the deaths of Biggie and Tupac, and the subsequent silencing of men like Uncle Ron, Gene Deal is fighting to return the culture to the hands of the people who actually created it, free from the predatory grip of the Hollywood elite. Every single viewer who interacts with this information becomes a vital part of the resistance against corporate censorship, keeping the names of the victims alive, and forcing the algorithms to push the truth past the barriers of corporate suppression. The momentum is completely unstoppable at this point, and no matter how many cease and desist letters are sent or how many videos are deleted, the message has already been received by millions of minds across the globe. The final act of this modern-day tragedy is currently being written in the courtrooms, the independent media channels, and the hearts of music fans worldwide. The illusion of the untouchable celebrity billionaire has been permanently shattered, leaving behind the stark and undeniable reality of a system that will do absolutely anything to maintain its power. Gene Deal has laid out the evidence, Uncle Ron has made his ultimate sacrifice, and now it is entirely up to the public to decide whether they will allow the truth to be silenced once again. The evidence is out there, the pieces of the puzzle are coming together, and the illusion of these untouchable Hollywood billionaires is officially cracking right before our eyes. Uncle Ron risked everything to put the truth on your screens, and Gene Deal is standing in the fire right now to make sure that sacrifice was not in vain. Now the ball is completely in your court. Do you believe Uncle Ron's sudden medical crisis was just a tragic, random twist of fate, or is this the definitive proof of a terrifying corporate silencing machine designed to protect billion-dollar music empires at all costs? Drop your thoughts, your theories, and your analysis in the comments section below, because your voice is what breaks through their digital censorship algorithms. Let us start a real discussion down there and blow this story completely wide open. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and refuse to let the mainstream media blindfold you, make sure to hit that like button right now to support independent journalism. Share this video with everyone who cares about the true history of hip-hop culture. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on all your notifications, so you never miss a single second of these breaking updates. They can delete the videos, but they can never silence the collective power of a public that demands the absolute truth.